everyone, welcome back to another Free Roaming Friends video. Today we're going to give you a tutorial and our review on one of our go-to travel apps. We've been using Airbnb to find unique places to stay for years now, and we love it. Whether you're looking for a house for a big family trip or an RV or dome for a more unique experience, Airbnb has you covered. So, if you've ever wondered about using this app, stick with us because now's your time to learn. Okay, so to get the Airbnb app, you open your app store on your device and then search Airbnb and it will bring it up, and it usually is the first one, and mine says open instead of get because I already have it. So for security purposes, we'll show you how to sign up using the website. You're going to tap those three lines in the upper right hand corner, then enter this information, and then Airbnb will walk you through the rest. Okay, so now we're to the good stuff. We're going to show you how to book. So you're going to enter your location first. We're going to put in Orlando. Then we're going to get some check-in and check-out dates. So just going to choose one here, 7th through the 13th. Then the number of guests you'll have, and you can also add infants, children, pets. Then after you hit search, it will bring up a list on the left hand side, and it will also bring up a map on the right hand side with prices, and you can click those prices and it will open up which listing it is. You can also just scroll on the left hand side. After you click one of those listings, it'll bring it up, and then you can look through everything you need to look through, and if it doesn't look good, you can click a different one. You can also add filters, and this is where you can list how many beds you need, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms. You can also scroll down, and we always use the Superhost feature. We typically use it. We'll explain more on that later. Then you can scroll down, look at the amenities, the types of properties. So if you only want to stay in like a house or an apartment, you can mark those. You can mark unique stays like a camper, RV, a barn, host languages, all kinds of good stuff under filters. And then it will edit your options. You can see the prices are very good. $59, $63. All right, now we've clicked on one. Now choosing a place to stay. First things first, what I always do is look at the pictures. Does it look like a place that you would like to stay? Does it look comfortable? Does it look clean? And then you'll see that Superhost badge right there. That's what that looks like, and that means that your host is very experienced and has a lot of really good reviews and ratings. We'll talk about that more later as well. Then on the right hand side, it gives you your price per night and your total. And then it has enhanced clean, self check-in, good information to know, and then you can hit show more, and then it'll talk about the space. And of course, that's just how much the host chooses to put in there. Most hosts, especially if they're super hosts, choose to put a lot of information in there. And then it'll show you where you'll sleep, so how many beds and what type of beds are in what bedroom, what this space offers, hair dryer, shampoo, hot water, washer, dryer, things like that. course, it has the dates listed there that we chose. And then it has the reviews, and these are extremely important. You want to read these to see what other people think of the place you stayed. This is always one of the first things I do. Then it gives a map, general location, we'll talk about this more later too, a general location of where the listing is, and then a little bit more about the host, and an option to contact the host, and just some other things to know, house rules, health and safety, cancellation policy, which is also something that you definitely want to check out before you book. And if it's one that you'll want, you'll hit reserve, and then it'll walk you through the process. Okay, so let's talk about some other features. Now, the website and the app are very similar, so it's going to be easy to find it on the app. But if you're on the website, go to the top right-hand corner and click the three little lines. It'll bring down a drop-down menu with a lot of different options. First one is your messages option. This is where you can message your host and they can message you. This is why it's very important to have the app on your phone so you can always be in contact with them if you need. And then notifications, this is where you'll be notified of certain things, like if Airbnb is going to charge your card or something like that. The trips option is where you can see all of your currently booked trips. This is very helpful for organizational purposes. And then wish lists is like Pinterest for Airbnb. You create a list, say, of Orlando and Washington, D.C. Then you can find places and put them in the appropriate list. And then manage listings. This is if you have listings that you're hosting. And then host an experience. And then refer a host is if you have a great host that you want to give a shout out to, this is where you would go. And then your account, that's just all the information that's in your Airbnb account. And then of course help for questions and log out. Then if you go to switch to hosting, if you're hosting a space, it'll take you to a separate area, separate page to work with that. But then if you hit other experiences at the top of the website, it will bring you here. And this is really cool because it will give you options for vacation planners to wherever you're going. It will give you options for tours and shows and tour guides that you might want to reserve for your upcoming trip. And this is really nice if you're going someplace that you've never been before and you don't know a lot about. And of course, places to stay. And then if you hit experiences, you can type in the location and the date that you're going to be there, and it will bring up a whole lot of experiences that you can choose from. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Free Roaming Friends video. So we just gave you a tutorial on how to use the Airbnb app and website. And now we thought we would sit down and talk to you and give you kind of a little review and just some tips that we've picked up along the way with using this tool. The first thing we thought we would talk about is ease of use. In my opinion, and you can weigh in on this anytime, in my opinion, it's very simple to use.
You can search for anything relatively quickly. They've got very detailed listings about what is in the house or room or whatever property you're looking at, and it gives you an approximate location. That's the kind of only drawback for me. Although you do get close, it gives you a general bubble that you can look at on Google Maps or the app of your choice to plan whatever destinations you're going to. For us, a lot of times it's Disney if we're not staying on property, but also anywhere else we've been. So we typically look at Airbnb first anymore when we go, just because it's so easy to use, and it's a lot easier than navigating hotel stays and points and everything like that, although we do our fair share of that.
Yeah. What I like about it is that other than booking, I mean, there are some other tools that we talked about, like the wish list feature and the trip feature. Those are great because I feel like they help you plan. It makes it easy for you to go in and see your upcoming trips. The messaging feature where you can talk with your host is extremely important because we had a situation the first time we went to California in 2019. We stayed at a little place. It was just a tiny little room. And it was super small, but it was super clean. We felt really safe. It was quiet. It was great. But we had some trouble finding towels. And we had to message our host, get some, she had to explain to us how, where we needed to go to find them. And the messaging feature is extremely helpful. And most of the time, in our experience, our hosts have been very easy to get a hold of.
And the messaging feature is secure. They don't see your phone number and you don't see theirs, and it just makes everything easy and secure because sometimes you don't always want to talk to your host. We've stayed at places where the host is around, and we've stayed at places where the host isn't around at all, or it's just a property that is managed like a vacation rental that's managed by a third party that comes in. We actually kind of prefer the person-to-person contact, I think. But
it's nice.
You have options when you're there, and no host has ever made us feel unwelcome.
No. First place we ever stayed with Airbnb was in a room in somebody's house. I was very nervous. I was very concerned. I was like, I don't think these people are like gonna be, awful or scary or mean or anything like that. It's just the idea of staying in somebody's house that you don't know. And I absolutely loved it. They were the nicest people, and we saw them, like we had to walk through common spaces in the house to get to our room. And they were there. I mean, they were down in their living room and they were making food and stuff like that. And we saw them pretty much every morning. We talked to them, and then when we came back, we saw them at night, and it was really nice. And so I agree. I like the face-to-face is really great, but like Garrett said, that's not something that you have to do or that you have to be ready for if you don't prefer that. A lot of situations, they want it to be like you're staying, in a hotel situation, so they don't want to bother you. They know it's your vacation, and they're there.
Business trip.
Yeah, they're there if you need them, but a lot of them make it very clear in the listing that they're around and they're happy to help, but they're not going to bother you.
Let's talk about reliability.
Yes, this is very important when using something like this because you want to make sure that you're staying someplace safe and secure and clean, and you want to make sure that the place that you book, just seeing pictures, like with anything, is what you're actually going to get. We actually this summer had a couple of very interesting experiences. We went to the beach with Garrett's brother and his wife, and we stayed in what was probably the most beautiful Airbnb we have ever stayed in, ever. I mean, it was gorgeous.
We still may do a video just on that experience.
Yeah.
We took lots of pictures and lots of video on that, but we'll see. It was the best one ever.
Yes. It was beautiful. It was clean. The host was fantastic. She was super easy to get a hold of, very helpful. It was a hop, skip, and a jump from the beach. Literally, we walked out of the house, walked 50 steps to the beach, and you were on the beach. It was fantastic, and it was quiet, and it was safe, and it was great. Then we drove to Florida for the second part of our trip, and we were planning to stay in another Airbnb. It was a condo, and we had this whole plan. We were going to make a video on these two Airbnbs that you could kind of compare and all of this stuff, and we obviously chose not to do that because this was the first situation where we have ever been burned by Airbnb, basically. or by using it. We got to the condo, and upon driving into the to the area where we were going to be staying, Garrett and I, we had been talking, we kind of got really quiet. We were like, okay, the outside doesn't quite look like what the pictures looked like, but that doesn't mean the room's rough or anything like that. No, we had driven, so we went to see the building where we were going to stay, and then we went to the grocery store to get some things, came back, unloaded our stuff, and went up to the room. I won't give a whole lot of detail, but the room was rough. It was not very clean.
We just weren't comfortable. So we took the opportunity to contact the host, and that was another thing. This particular host was a little slower to get back, and while Kelsey was doing that, I was looking for other places to stay. We found something else and we didn't stay there, and we got a good portion of our money refunded. I'm sure that if we would have pressed it with Airbnb a little bit more, we probably would have had the whole thing refunded, but at the time we just didn't. We were weary from traveling, so we got it all figured out eventually, but there were a couple things that we needed to look for. First thing is not as important to me if I'm booking for us, but if Kelsey's doing the booking, she looks a little more closely at that, and that's the Superhost badge.
The Superhost badge basically means that the host of the place that you're looking to stay at has so many 5-star reviews. I can't remember exactly how many, but it's a lot. It's I think it's at least 500. It's a lot. So when you look at a listing, you can look and see what people have rated it, and as far as like cleanliness, safety, if it matched the pictures and the description that was in the listing. And a Superhost typically will always have like 4.9 or 5 out of 5 like on everything. And we have stayed in places that are not Superhost labeled.
Don't let that scare you
away.
No. We've stayed at both places. The thing that caught us on that was the reviews. Always read your reviews.
The Superhost feature is basically just like an insurance. It does not mean that if the place that you're looking to stay, if it's not labeled Superhost, that doesn't mean it's going to be bad. We've stayed in places that are not labeled Superhost, and they were great. I had read the reviews on the location, and they were not bad. There weren't a lot of them though. And this particular place was not labeled as a Superhost because we were looking for something cheap. And sometimes, going as cheap as you can go isn't always the best move. But that's what we chose to do in this situation, and that's what happened. So, but I looked at the reviews. The reviews were not awful. They were not bad. But later on, after we left and we were on our way to our new place to stay, I managed to find the reviews just on the host themselves, and they were very mixed. They were not great. So now I try to look at both, but again, if you use that Superhost feature, you can pretty much guarantee that where you're going to stay is going to be clean, comfortable, safe, and it just gives you peace of mind to read those reviews from other people talking about how great it is.
Right, so basically look for a Superhost. Don't put all your eggs in Superhost. Again, isn't the most important thing, but it is a factor and might want to factor into your Airbnb experience. More importantly, check out the reviews on that host, whether they're a Superhost or not, and make sure that's going to align with what you're doing.
So basically what we're saying is that the reliability of where you're going to stay depends on you. It depends on how you search and how much you read and how much you look into what other people have said about the place where you're going.
Right. And the other part of it is too, we've had a lot of Airbnb experiences, and we've had just a couple not so great ones.
Yeah.
So, and if it's that bad and you want to pull out and not stay there, definitely challenge that with Airbnb, and don't put yourself in a situation that you're not comfortable with.
Right.
We actually discovered a new place to stay that we'll probably stay at again on this trip. So it wasn't all lost. And again, you have to decide what kind of budget you have, and what kind of features that you're actually looking for, and what your jumping off point is going to be. So
to bring it all home, we just thought that we would talk a little bit about why we like it so much. We've kind of been talking about that, but we just want to point out a few big things. Number one thing is that a lot of times you can find great places to stay for a lot less money. And when you travel a lot like us, that is very, very helpful. You know, we go to Disney a lot, and Disney hotels are not cheap. So we can, you know, staying in one every time we go is just not an option. And so staying at some of these places and, you know, helping out these people that are listing their spaces for you, and there's a good feeling in that, at least for me.
Yeah, we get to stay in a lot of cool places. We've stayed in, a lot of times you can just stay in neighborhoods because you're looking at people's homes a lot of times, and you can stay in neighborhoods where like real people live, and especially if you're wanting to escape a touristy thing if you're on vacation, or if you want that homey type feeling if you're on a business trip or something for work, it's very handy to have those options with you. The other thing is you can stay in very unique places. There are everything from tree houses to old shipping containers to just goofy mud huts and bungalows and fun things. RVs. You can just stay anywhere. The sky's the limit. So wherever you want to stay, if you're looking for a unique experience somewhere, Airbnb would definitely have it over a hotel chain, obviously. So,
for sure.
And there again are times when we choose to stay in a hotel over staying in an Airbnb, and there are a lot of factors that go into that as well. The same factors that go into staying in our Airbnb. So. The choice is up to you, and it's an option. I don't think we're going to sell our house and live in Airbnbs for, you know, the entire year like their CEO just announced.
Really?
Yeah, that was, I think, today. Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know. I think it was maybe yesterday.
That's a lot.
He's a CEO of it's like...
Well, I guess that makes sense then.
Yeah.
We love Airbnb, basically, is what we're saying. And we love it for a lot of different reasons. It's a great option, especially if you're somebody who travels a lot. Even if you're not somebody that travels a lot, it just offers a different way to travel and a different place to stay in that's not a hotel. Right. Very homey, most places that we stayed at least, very homey, unique, anything you want. Pretty much is on Airbnb, and that's why we love it. So we hope that this video has helped you in learning how to use the Airbnb app, and we hope that we gave you some tips and tricks that will help you to feel confident when you use it.
Yeah, especially if you're a newbie, just jump in, start playing around. You always have to confirm everything before you actually book it, so take a look at it. It's a completely viable option, and it's an option that surprisingly a lot of folks don't take advantage of, and we think you should definitely give it a look as one of the things that could enhance your next trip.
Yeah. So thank you for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Hello and welcome.
Hello.
Hello. A general area is usually good enough.
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Can you hear Greta whining?
Yes.
Beautiful dog. She's a beautiful
She's
dog,
something.
and she's very, she can't be up here with us, so.
She's a lot. Anyway.
Settle in to talk about some Airbnb.
Nice and cozy.
Not in an Airbnb though.
Not an Airbnb.
It could be if we. Do you like big dogs?
If you like big dogs, we're the place for you. No. Okay.
We are not listed.
No, we're not.